This episode of TRS is brought to you by the HP DV7T with Beats Audio, featuring the smart Intel Core i5 processor. Coming up on today's TRS, you've always wanted it, so we finally talk about music.
Today we're going to do something interesting. We've never talked about...
That's throwing the gauntlet down.
Well, it's true.
I really have to be interesting today?
Most of the stuff is usually entertaining. Today we are forcing ourselves to be interesting.
Oh, crap.
We have never talked about music and our love of music and what our opinions on music
Despite
are.
many requests from the audience.
Well, and so when we found out that HP was sponsoring us with their new the whole laptop spread, the sort of Beats Audio thing, we were like, well, this is a perfect opportunity for us to be able to finally have a way into talking about music.
Yeah.
And so what we decided was, rather than to like review music or talk about what music we're listening to, currently we thought, music really does speak to you in all aspects of your life. And
It's very personal.
a lot of the moments of your life are sort of tent-poled by specific music.
Celebrate the moments of your life.
So we thought, well, why don't we go take a little trip, a stumble, if you will, down memory lane, and talk about some of the main tentpole songs or CDs or 8-tracks, however it may be.
8-tracks.
I start with an 8-track.
Guys.
I start with an 8-track.
Wow.
I know it happened. sort of going through our lives and talking about moments and the music and what we.
I want to hear you start with an
And we
8-track.
have two of the. We're doing 2 music theme segments over the course of a couple weeks, so this isn't the only time we're going to be doing.
Yeah,
it.
well, Dan's going to throw down the challenge
there,
gauntlet
there.
with some stuff next week.
Yeah.
So 8-track, tell me about your 8-track.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start.
Yeah. What
So,
is this 8-track that you listen to?
both my parents grew up in San Diego, spent most of their sort of later high school time and all that stuff down in San Diego through the late 50s and the early 60s. So for them, they were really, especially my dad was really into the sort of late, 50s, 60s surf rock, right?
Beach Boys.
So I grew up in the East Coast. And my dad had an old MG convertible that he bought.
My parents had an old MG too.
Yeah, it was
Green?
It was amazing. Forest green.
What? Do we have the
top.
same parents?
What? No, are we best friends? No. So anyway, but that MG actually had an 8-track cassette recorder or cassette player in the dash. It was an in-dash 8-track recorder.
Oh my.
It was
And
the
my
entire
dad-
dash.
Yeah, it was.
You know how I know
And
about an 8-track? Footloose.
Yeah.
In the beginning, he's listening to an 8-track, I think, or is it a cassette? I don't know.
I don't know, but either way,
My
dad had one of the
Daily callback.
one of the classic Beach Boy albums on 8-track. And the 4 days out of the year that we were able to have the convertible down because we lived in Washington, D.C., it was either way too hot or way too cold. He would be listening to the Beach Boys. And so for me, my childhood of growing up is all about my dad singing Beach Boys. And when I moved to California, the first thing I did was I bought the Beach Boys sort of greatest hits CD, and I would ride around Los Angeles with blaring Beach Boys music, and it felt like very connected to my dad.
Is it? Are you guys the same as me? I get very annoyed when people sing the song.
No,
in
I'm the
car.
singing guy.
You are. I
Yeah.
know.
Well,
I knew that.
you mean-
but
you mean
I
by
find it
yourself?
interesting if you're
I've
also
literally,
not by
like-
yourself. Not by yourself.
You mean when your friend is in the car
when
and
anyone else is
singing
in the
with you?
car and you're not singing, you just want to hear the song.
I am
and
a
someone
singer.
wants to prove that they know the lyrics.
I'm
by
a singer,
singing.
but only when I'm by myself.
That's not
Yeah, that's
proving
fine.
you know the lyrics.
I was like, okay, you know the song, but can I
It's
hear him
fun.
sing it? It's
Amazing.
How I enjoy music.
Amazing.
Oh yeah.
So that was my
Yeah.
that was like my early childhood. High school for me, I think not all.
Are you just
of
doing
us.
all yours right now?
That's what we said we were gonna
Yeah.
do. Remember? That was why I
Let's hear
asked.
someone's story, and then we'll hear
Yeah.
someone's story.
So anyway, high school for me is Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit, and probably everybody.
A lot of people
Just that song, or
Just that song. I
Dude,
mean,
I
the
went to-
CD was amazing.
I went to a camp, a youth and government camp on the weekend, and I had just discovered that song, and I recorded it off the radio onto a cassette. The only thing on that tape was
Recording
Smell
it
Like
off
Teen
the
Spirit.
radio.
was one song on that
Like Teen
tape
Spirit.
once, And that was the only tape I brought with me all weekend, and I never stopped listening to it. I would play it, I would rewind it, and I would play it, and it was that one song over and
I
over.
love the feeling of a song like
Yeah.
that. It wasn't that for me, but like just like you could just listen to that song all day and you can't believe how good it sounds.
I was,
It was so new.
I was in
It
a
was such a
rock
new
band
sound.
in high school. I played drums in a band, and one of the first songs that we learned was "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by
course,
Nirvana, which
of
was
course.
amazing. And then lastly, for me, it's always going to be special to my heart because it kind of started this whole wacky career that I'm on. The screensavers,
Yeah,
and I know I've
Postal
talked
Service.
about this a lot, but the Postal Service for a CD. I got that CD. I just bought a new car, and I got cast as the host on the Screensavers. And every day to and from the studio, I would be blaring the Postal Service.
So now when you hear Postal Service, do you like,
Immediately, I'm back.
do you
right
like, can you
there.
like smell your new car still? I often get
No, I
that.
smell the
like,
studio.
recall. You smell the studio.
I smell the studio. I'm like, hey!
It smells like Leo Laporte.
Hey! I was never in that studio. Danny, what about you?
So I started the first musical experiences I had growing up were the most
Annie?
I had the most eclectic tastes.
Yes.
So when I was in elementary school, what I would constantly listen to was, aside from, as you guys have heard on many stories, movie scores.
Yeah,
Because
which we
Shocking.
will see a lot
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
I
of
wasn't
later.
allowed to I wasn't allowed to see R-rated movies, so I'd buy the first tape I ever bought was for the score to Rambo 3.
Classic score.
It is actually the Rambo parts.
Yeah.
His main theme is somewhat classic. Jerry Goldsmith. And
We're doomed.
may he rest in peace. And then I listened to a lot of rap music. The soundtrack to Juice was a fan favorite. Me being
By
a
you being a fan?
And the first
Was a My Room favorite?
the first CD I ever bought was the soundtrack to CB4.
Straight out of low
amazing.
cash.
Crazy mother effer named Gusto.
Amazing.
I could sing the rest, but
I went on
yeah.
a first date to see that movie. It was a last date.
Oh, it was awesome. And then a lot of new age music. So my whole childhood
Yanni?
through Yanni,
Enya.
John Tesh?
Ray, I didn't like John Tesh.
Oh
Ray-
yeah, he's terrible compared to Yanni.
a guy named Ray Lynch, Clannad, David Arkenstone.
Clannad on
That
the
sounds like
clarinet.
something
I used to
soft
listen to
rock
this guy
people
named-
use.
I used to listen to this guy named David Arkenstone.
Have you heard Yanni's new Clannad album?
This dude I used to listen to in elementary school has since gone on to write the music for World of Warcraft.
Jean-Michel Jarre?
Well, I didn't love
had
him.
that
There's a movie that he did.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my childhood. High school, pop punk, and / this other kind of music that back then, now it's become a reference in pop culture that everyone knows and refers to fashion. For me, I had to describe it every time I said it. So I listened to pop punk and emo. Now you have a weird connotation with that. For me, no one knew what that was.
Yeah.
So what
You just sat in the corner
pop
and
punk,
drew
no,
on your arm
it wasn't
and
that.
listened.
It wasn't that. It was. I put these two kinds of music. So
The adventure begins.
I know you like Goldfinger. Listen to
Yeah.
a lot of Goldfinger, MXPX,
Yep.
Slick Shoes, Strung Out. That's
Yeah.
the pop punk
No
stuff.
Effects. that
No,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
no effects, but a little more punky than I liked.
Oh yeah.
And then, so the big bands were Get Up Kids and Saves the Day. And that was my entire end of high school and throughout college.
Yeah.
And that really transformed into indie rock, which is now what I listen to. And it's the first time in my whole life where I finally am listening to the music that is on the radio.
Yeah.
Because growing up, as you guys heard through what I just said, I didn't like Nirvana. I didn't like Smashing Pumpkins. I didn't like Fish. I didn't like any
Fish on the radio?
Fish?
Yeah, well, I didn't
What radio
like, I didn't
stations?
like whatever was popular. You know what I mean? Like I was never, and that wasn't a cool, like, oh, it was unique. It was a bummer that I just didn't like
Yeah.
what was being played all the time.
And now you're like Mr. Popular.
And now finally the thing I've liked
Yeah.
has coincided with
about you,
what's
Jeff?
popular.
I have very eclectic tastes too. I wanted to talk about, because what you had talked about with Postal Service and having that, it just takes you right
Response,
back
yeah.
there. I was an exchange student in Japan I was there for my 17th birthday. And I remember I
Listen to a lot of Mr. Roboto. Just over and over again.
I didn't, looking back on it, I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't want to go at that time. I was like into a girl.
No,
and
everybody just has that. Come on.
Yeah, but it changed my life and it made me a much better person having that experience. But while I was there, I kind of listened, I like regressed into a lot of music and, you know, put up barriers and stuff. And there was 2 albums that I listened to constantly. One of them was New Order Republic, which is phenomenal. I'm a huge New Order fan.
Yeah.
I like the idea of listening to that in Japan.
Yeah. And the second was, I'm a huge Prince fan, and I took over a cassette of the Symbol album, which is, you know, has My Name is Prince on the first track, and is still my favorite Prince album, I think probably because of that. But anytime I hear either of those albums, I'm in Japan. Like my whole being is smelling Japan and feeling like I was feeling there. It's really uncanny because it was the soundtrack of my being. I just constantly had those 2 albums on loop.
Yeah.
The other album that sort of changed my life as a kid was 10, the Pearl Jam album 10.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another one of those that I could get into.
Yeah.
And everyone loved Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I mean, I was a huge grunge guy. I got really into, I mean, that was squarely in my high school life.
Yeah.
And I also, you know, I want to throw out a couple of the stuff that I'm listening to now. I think Hazards of Love by the Decemberists is an album that I never get sick of, it seems.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the Temper Trap album. You know, I kind of like that
The
dancing.
song that 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah, but that whole album is really good.
You
Well,
like
music
you like
is-
dancier
I do.
things.
I mean, like I said, I like Prince, I like dance music.
Yeah.
You just
I
like to dance
I can't let the kids
Can't
dance.
not
man.
dance.
with your one limb.
Amazing. Well, that's kind of a little trip down through our musical foray, as it were. I don't know what a foray means.
It's crazy how much we've just
French
referenced
for
like audio cassettes. That is,
Yeah.
like you mentioned 8-track, which blew my mind, and that's what's funny about that is the idea of 8-tracks blew my mind my whole life. I was, an 8-track, and I was, that's so old.
That's what tapes are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the idea of
Kids
growing
now.
Yeah.
growing up with MP3s.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's gonna be crazy. We shall see. Thank you, HP, and hope you enjoyed a little bit of music. So we do want to thank HP again for giving us the opportunity to talk about music, and check this bad mamma jamma out. So this is the HP.
Sweet looking rig.
This is the HP DV7 with Beats Audio.
Whoa.
Are you getting
feeling
beats?
I'm feeling a
Feeling
lot
beats?
of want. Is what
So
I'm
he-
feeling.
so
a
I
lot
thought
of
you were
want.
feeling beat.
So these are awesome. This thing's got the Core i7 built in. They have others that come with the i5 Intel processors built in. But the really crazy thing is the Beats Audio. So what happened was Dr. Dre was pissed because he was producing all this. I know, this is blowing your mind. He was
Yeah.
producing all this really great, spending all this time in the studio, and then he would see people around with these little itty bitty dinky things on these crappy ass things, not getting the full enjoyment out of his music. And so at first he partnered with Monster to produce what he called the output devices. So that's why you get those Beats Audio headsets that he made with Monster. Then he partnered with HP and said, well, the second stage of this process is how the music is actually sourced to whatever the output device is. So he figured out there's the 3 stages: in the studio, best quality you can do, which he was doing; the source, which is when he partnered exclusively with HP and designed these computers. There's 6 computers that have the Beats Audio inside. So it's the highest processing that you can get for outputting to whatever your output device is. But the really crazy thing is, especially with the DV7, they realized that even though the best way to listen to this stuff is with either a great headset or a great set of speakers or a great sound system, they realized that a lot of times you're not going to have that option. You're just going to be like, oh, hey, check this out.
Right.
So they partnered with Altec Lansing to make the best, the highest quality in-laptop speakers that you can get, and included a subwoofer. Not because they thought that was a really smart idea, but because on the off chance that you have to play it out of this, they wanted the
awesome.
best sound experience possible.
It'd be cool if people at
Seriously.
home might be able to get a HP Beats laptop.
So here's the other awesome thing. Not only are these laptops amazing, and I think they have one touchscreen desktop too that has the Beats Audio in it, they are giving one of these away to one of the TRS viewers.
So here's
which is
how
amazing.
this works. You're gonna take some of the crazy stuff we've said over the years
Correct.
and remix it into some sort of
Musical
crazy
mashup
musical
thingy.
mashup and send it to us, and we're gonna pick
The
our
best
favorite
one.
one, and you're gonna get a laptop.
Yes, an HP Beats Audio
How
laptop
cool is that?
with an i5 core processor. Crazy stuff. So what we want you to do, go crazy, do whatever you do, waka waka what, and then send a link or a
trying to
file
give them some-
to just some stuff.
Dan, say something
Work with
say something
that.
crazy right now.
Scribble-dub-dip.
Okay.
Okay. You don't have to use that one. But send it
I believe it
to.
was scribble double dip.
I don't know. So send those to hpmusic@totallyradshow.com. And
You have a couple of weeks.
We're
Yeah.
gonna be doing this all through November.
We'll give you
super
more information
excited.
when the deadline is, but get started because you're gonna want one of these.
And these,
I do.
oh, dude, these things are
By the way, they
all
can't see how
amazing.
sexy these lines are.
Yeah, these are some of
this.
this is very solid computers. So thank you so much, HP, for sponsoring this show. All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Stand. Come with your arm there.
All right. This is Monday, November 1st. Yep. I'm on my way to Ireland when this thing comes out. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Totally Rad Show for the week of Monday. The week of Monday? Let's start again. Do I usually say for the week starting Monday, or do I say
Eric
just for the
Kang?
day?
Oh. Yeah. Ready, guys? Mm-hmm. One of my favorite. Nailed.
Whack.
Boom. Go.
No, yes.
Crazy mother effing gusto.
Back to back to back.
Boom, boom, boom. Scribble double dip.
Whoa.